Hey, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Not just scrolling, not just swiping, but here, really here. Because today, I want to talk to you about something that doesn't fit neatly into a spreadsheet or a motivational poster. It's about money, but not in the way you might expect. This isn't a how to get rich video. It's more like, what happens to your heart if you do? I'm going to tell you a story about wealth and how sometimes the very thing we chase for safety and freedom can quietly, subtly, and without our permission, begin to eat away at our empathy. And maybe you've already felt it. Maybe you've already seen it in others. The coldness that creeps in, the emotional distance that wealth can bring. So here's a puzzle for you. Think about it like a riddle. Why is it that, as some people get more money, they become less interested in the people around them, even the ones they love? Shouldn't it be the opposite? Shouldn't having more give you the space to care more? That's our puzzle today. I want to work through it with you, slowly, honestly, and without judgment. This is one of those videos you don't rush through, you sit with, like coffee with an old friend. When I was younger, just starting out, I thought wealth would finally let me breathe. I imagined success like a high tower, where once you got to the top, you could look down, finally safe, finally unbothered, finally content. I remember one time, I got my first real client check. It wasn't huge, but it felt like freedom. I took myself out to lunch, nothing fancy, just a quiet place with big windows. And I sat there thinking, this is it. This is the start. And it was, but not in the way I expected. Because what followed, over the next few years, wasn't just growth and success. It was also subtle disconnection, a shift in how I saw people. I'd be lying if I said I didn't start measuring people a little. Who had value, who didn't, who was worth my time. It didn't happen all at once. That's what's so tricky about this. Wealth doesn't shout, it whispers. And one of the first things it whispers is, you earned this. They didn't. That's where the erosion begins. Now let's go deeper, back to the puzzle. Why does wealth seem to chip away at empathy? Here's one angle. Distance. Empathy is rooted in shared experience. If you can't remember what it's like to worry about rent, or groceries, or how you'll cover your mom's medication, it becomes harder to feel with someone who's there now. You might nod. You might offer a solution. But the emotional bridge isn't solid anymore. It's a rope bridge in the wind. You're waving from the other side. Wealth builds walls disguised as gates. You start hiring people to do things you used to do yourself. Clean, cook, fix, drive. Nothing wrong with that, on the surface. But what happens when those roles become invisible? When the people doing them become part of the background? That's another piece of the puzzle. Invisibility. The more convenience we buy, the less we notice the humans behind it. There's a study, several actually, that show how wealthier individuals score lower on measures of empathy and emotional attunement. And not just towards strangers. Sometimes, even towards friends and family. It's as if the more resources you have, the more tempted you are to believe you don't need others. And that illusion, that self-sufficiency fantasy, is maybe the most dangerous part. You stop asking for help. You stop offering it too. I saw this in someone close to me. Let's call him Daniel. Brilliant guy. Came from nothing. Built an empire. And yet, over time, he became harder. Not mean. Just unavailable. Detached. He once told me, I don't have time for people's little dramas anymore. And I remember thinking, but weren't those dramas, those real messy human moments, the whole point? When did we decide that being untouchable was a sign of success? Let's pause here. Another piece of the puzzle. Control. Money gives you options. That's its power. But it also tempts you to curate your life too much. to remove friction, people, perspectives that don't align with your comfort. And without friction, there's no fire, no heat, no connection. You become a version of yourself that's protected, sure, but also isolated. Have you ever noticed how some people's homes get quieter as they get richer? Not peaceful, sterile. That's not peace. That's disconnection. And it creeps in slowly, like mold behind the walls. You don't see it until something breaks. Let me offer something lighter here, just for a moment. There was a woman I once met at a bus stop years ago. I was broke, tired, and carrying a backpack with a broken strap. She looked over at me, handed me a granola bar without a word, and smiled. Just smiled. No transaction, no performance. That kind of generosity isn't grand. It's grounded. And ironically, the people with the least often give the most, not because they're saints, but because they remember what it feels like to need. That memory is empathy's anchor. Lose the memory, lose the anchor. Now here's the twist, because you're probably wondering, does that mean I should avoid wealth? No, that's not what I'm saying. Money is a tool, a powerful one, but tools can become masks. Hammers don't care what you build, and neither does wealth. So the question is, what are you using it for? Are you buying more things to prove something? Or are you using your resources to be more available, more generous, more present? That's where long-term positioning comes in. We don't build wealth to escape people. We build it to serve better, to protect without isolating, to create without erasing. Financial honesty means asking yourself, what is this money doing to my character? That's not a question most financial advisors will ask, but it might be the most important one. And here's the deeper philosophical challenge, if you're ready for it. Are you willing to feel again? Truly feel, with, not just for, others. That means exposing yourself to discomfort, letting someone cry in front of you without fixing it, listening to someone's fear without dismissing it. Empathy isn't efficient, it's not scalable, but it's essential. And if your version of wealth is costing you that, it's not wealth, it's a very expensive loneliness. There's this line I once heard, some people are so poor, all they have is money. I used to think it was cliché. Now I think it's a warning. A soft, firm whisper saying, don't let that be you. Because at the end of your life, and I've seen this with my own eyes, no one asks for their bank statement on their deathbed. They ask, did I love well? Did I show up? Did I see people? And when you build your life around long-term truth, about money, about freedom, about success, you realize something almost funny. Real success isn't being above people. It's being deeply, wildly among them. So if you're still with me, thank you. Really. Because you're part of the few who are willing to ask harder questions. And here's the invitation I leave you with today. Don't just earn. Engage. Don't just build. Belong. Use your money as a mirror, not armor. Let it show you who you're becoming. And if the reflection feels a little colder than you'd like, maybe it's time to step back into the warmth of others. Not out of guilt, but out of choice, out of truth. Subscribe if this stirred something. Share it if you know someone drifting. And remember, here, we don't chase the fantasy. We build the foundation. Freedom doesn't come from having it all. It comes from knowing who you are when you could, and choosing connection anyway. Until next time, stay human, stay honest, and stay free.